everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House, and today we have some great projects for you, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps me out. So project one is a really quick one, and it's just this vase that I thrifted some time ago. You can tell it's been in storage. It's so dusty. So I'm just going to start off by cleaning that with some all-purpose cleaner, and then I'm actually going to go over that with some glass cleaner, and that's just so that I don't have any kind of like oily marks or anything like that. So Rose Botanical, the transfers from IOD, I am going to take that collection and pick out something that I like this one here. And because I have some curves on this vase, I'm going to kind of trim that really close. So the way that I work this kind of thing is that I will put it down in the middle, and then I will just let the sides stay kind of hooked to that, and then I'll work on one side at a time, and I will go through and just kind of apply that and trim away any of that carrier sheet. I'm burnishing that down, and there it is. It's that simple. I think the color of the vase along with that pastel pink of the roses is just so beautiful. So project two is actually, I'm going to call them herb hangers, but these are actually parts of some chairs that my son took apart for me a long time ago. I just actually found the box of all the parts and pieces and stuff. I have a lot of projects coming up using these different parts, but I'm going to start off by removing those dowels, and I just use some pliers, and then I'm gonna actually use my mini table saw to kind of smooth out any of those end pieces that I can't get out with those pliers. So one of these is in really good shape and the other one is in not so great shape. So I'm going to repair the one that is in not really great shape because the vinyl is kind of like peeling off. So I was showing you a needle tip there. I'm going to put that onto my syringe, open that up, and I'm going to fill that with some Titebond wood glue. The reason that I'm putting this into the syringe with that long tip is because I want to get under that vinyl and be able to get that glue underneath there without kind of ripping it apart so bad, and this needle is going to allow me to do that. So I just grab that, stick the needle kind of under there, and then just apply that underneath there, smooth it out with my finger, and then I'm going to kind of tape that into place to make sure that that holds really well, and I'm going to let that glue dry overnight. You can see there that one is taped and the other one is not because I only did it on the one. So on the back of that, there was some of that vinyl that was kind of coming up. I don't think it's called vinyl. So the veneer that was coming up. So I just kind of sanded that smooth, and now I'm going to wipe all of that dust off. For the other one that was not messed up, I'm going to leave that in a natural wood state. This one I'm actually going to paint with the new Dixie Belle paint in, it's called Briar Patch, and this is my new favorite color. I think for this spring I've kind of started using this on everything. So I'm gonna apply 2 coats of that front and back, just drying in between coats with my embossing gun and making sure that I have full coverage. So there you see I have one that's green and one that's natural wood. So I'm going to start applying some hooks. I got these hooks at Hobby Lobby and they say $8.99. I don't think I paid that. I think I got them half off. So I'm just gonna kind of put those and arrange them where I think I want to. So on the green one, I'm gonna use all of the same hooks there, and I only grabbed 4 of those hooks, so I have 1 left. I'm gonna use that in the middle of the wood one. And then I have these 2 knobs, and these were from doing over my hutch in the kitchen, and so I'm gonna use those at the end. So I want them to be closer to the gold of the other hooks, so using my Empire Gold gilding wax, I'm gonna put a coat of that over these knobs. This is a really good way for you to use those odd and end pieces that you have and to kind of make something that's really interesting but also useful. You could use this for your keys, for jewelry. Here, like I said, I'm calling it a herb hanger because I plan on using one of these in my kitchen to dry herbs with. So I'm just kind of measuring out where things are going to go, and I screwed down that middle hook, and now I'm going to drill holes for these knobs on either end. These have a really strong, or I'm sorry, a really long type of screw that hangs out the back. You can see there, and I didn't really like that, so I'm gonna kind of take care of that. I'm gonna make my husband cut those off so that they're flush and I don't have them sticking out. So I'm gonna add some hooks onto the back of both of these, and that's it. I really like the way that these came out. They're a really interesting shape, and then also with the hooks and the knobs, they have a really great pattern on them, and they just make them something that is kind of a conversation piece but also very pretty. So project 3 is a fleur-de-lis shelf sitter that I got this from a friend, and so I'm not going to do anything super extravagant to this. So I just start off by cleaning it off, and then of course I'm going to grab my patina paint from Dixie Belle in copper, and I just am going to do 2 coats with this, covering up that green color. Drying in between with my embossing gun, and now I'm gonna go in with the patina spray. So the way that this works is that your paint has to be wet to use the spray. So applying a coat of paint, and while that is still wet, you are then gonna apply that spray. I put it in a cup because I like to apply that with a brush. So I go back and forth, so I would recommend that you put that paint in a cup as well, otherwise you are going to mess up your whole jar of paint there. This was a simple flip, and but it came out gorgeous. I think this is so pretty. That copper is just amazing. So project 4 is this frame that if you watch my other channel, I got this from the Goodwill bins. It was empty, sitting at the bottom of one of those bins. I was so amazed. So I'm not going to do anything to the frame, but I am going to make something to go in that frame. So I'm going to start off with a decoupage paper. I think this was from Jamie Ray Vintage. And I'm going to use the Pentart decoupage I think it's a glue, it's a varnish, it's a decoupage, it's all in one. So I'm gonna apply that to a 8x10 canvas that I got, I believe, from Michael's. And this was the first time I've used this for decoupage, and I have to say I really do like it. I enjoyed this. So I'm just trimmed off any of the excess paper that was there with a little craft knife. And now I'm going to use the Pentart Fine Line Crackle Medium. So I did do a cover on this before I'm putting down that Crackle Medium. I put a top coat of that decoupage medium on the top and let that dry. So I put down the first coat of the crackle, I dried that, and then I'm putting down the second part of that crackle, and I'm using my heat gun to dry that. You could really do this all in kind of like the same time. You don't have to let it sit and dry by itself. You're going to get the same effect if you use your heat gun on that. So to bring out those cracks, I actually used DIY dark wax, and you can see there all of those wonderful, lovely cracks that came through. And that's all I'm going to do with that. I'm not going to do anything else. It's gorgeous as is. If you wanted to have a flat coat on that, a flat kind of surface, you could cover it with some matte coating on it or a matte finish on it, and then it would take away that shine. So just using my little gun there, I stapled that in so it didn't come out, and then I put a hanger on the back, and that's that. This frame is lovely with all the chips and all of the things that are kind of nicked and knacked on it. It's just still so lovely, and I think this picture just kind of made it all the better. It just looks like it was made to go in there. So project 5 is this vase that has like a 3D effect, and these are cherries. And I love the Italian, the vases they have, or the terracotta pots that have that 3D effect, and that's kind of what came to mind. So I just took it outside and did a coat of paint on it, and that's just really so that the terracotta paint, the Dixie Belle terracotta paint, would stick better to it. So I'm going to add some baking soda to that and stir it around, and then using a kind of pointed brush, I'm just going to stipple that all over the vase. This is a really simple process. I think the hardest part is just kind of getting into all of that 3D effect. And so I just did a couple of coats on there, making sure it was dry between each coat. So I'm going to add some white wax to this using my Bare finishing wax. And the reason that I'm using this actual wax is because it's really, really loose, and I just thought it would be easier to apply and get into all of those little 3D nooks and crannies and not be so hard to shove in there and get in there, and then also to kind of wipe it away. So I love the way that this came out. It's so beautiful. It looks like terracotta. I just am enamored of it. I do have some other vases that because I bought this in a lot. And so I have like probably 6 other vases that I think I might do like this. So project 6 is this little egg cloche, and this is not a big turnaround. I really like the cloche, but the bottom of the cloche, the little stand that it was on, was kind of flimsy for me. I wanted it to look more expensive, more substantial. So I'm going to add one of these wood pile rounds to the bottom of it using my Type Bond wood glue, and it's just as easy as gluing it to, I'm going to glue it to the top of that base of that, just so that, like I said, it gives it like a heartier look, a more substantial look. So I glued it there, I let it sit overnight, and then I came back actually with that same syringe that I used earlier, and I'm just going to kind of seal that gap in between those two discs. I let that dry for about an hour, and then I grabbed Briar Patch from Dixie Belle again, and I'm just going to paint that base in that color. I do 2 coats of this, and just making sure that I have full coverage and everything is covered really well. That's pretty much it. I didn't do anything else. There wasn't a whole lot to do. I could have, you know, I guess put molds and stuff on it, but I felt like, you know, the beauty of that was going to be whatever you put on the inside. So I just opted for a little nest filled with some moss, and then I got these little bird, they're place card holders, seating place card holders, and I put one of those in there and just put like a little picture, and I think that this speaks for itself. I mean, it's gorgeous, it's darling. You could put any kind of picture you want in there with these little holders, and it just looks great. Project 7 is what I'm calling Ugly Box. The first thing I'm going to do with this box is remove everything I can remove on it. And you can see the hinges are rusty and crusty, and so I kind of had a time with that. This is like a fabric type of top that they glued in there, so I tore that off, and I'm just kind of looking over everything. This they had some nails that was holding that little fabric part. I took off the rubber mounts on the bottom, and I'm just giving this kind of a sand. There was some rough pieces there. This red, I don't know if it was red stain or red paint or something, but I'm just kind of sanding that to kind of get rid of those harsh little snags and stuff there, and so I have a smooth surface. I'm gonna grab Fusion Mineral Paint in Everett, and I don't know if I've ever used this, but I think this is just like a little sample, so I'm totally into greens right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use this. I think I ended up using a little, like about half of that little sample jar there. So I'm doing everything inside and out, bottom. I'm just making sure the top and the bottom of this box is completely covered. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab Chateau in the paint inlay from IOD, and this is from several seasons back. I do love this very much. I just haven't used it very much, so I'm just going to measure out what I have, what I need, and what I need to cut off. And you can see here, I'm just wrapping the whole bottom of that box. I'm not doing the very bottom, but I am wrapping all the sides. So I'm grabbing DIY liquid patina, and I'm just going to go ahead and start applying that to the box. And as I'm doing that, wetting my inlay paper and then applying that to the box one side at a time. Here I'm applying this to the top, and I'm just applying that liquid patina around the sides of that, and not doing the middle part of it. So I just apply that, wetting it, and then pressing it down, making sure that I'm going over the sides. I wasn't sure what I was going to do in the middle of that, so I didn't want to cover it up. So once that was dry, I'm then going to reapply the water and then begin to remove that inlay. I will say that I was not happy with that. I just felt like it did not give me what I was looking for. And also, I guess I grabbed pieces that I had used before because it had some white paint on it that then applied to the box. So I just really wasn't too happy with it, but I just decided I was just going to kind of go with it and see what I could come up with. As you can see, the middle part of that is blank still. So I'm going to grab one of these little canvases that I got from the dollar store. And it's just like a little smidge too big. So I'm just kind of hammering the side of that. And then I'm going to hammer that into the center of that box. So once I have that in there, I'm going to grab the Everett paint again and just go ahead and make sure that I have full coverage on that little canvas. This box, since the hinges and everything are super rustic, I'm not looking for perfection on this. So that's why I didn't opt to go in and do the inlays. I just thought that it just kind of adds to that. It would be kind of weird to have perfection with the inlays and then have such crusty, rusted, hinges and things like that on there. I just felt like it wouldn't fit. So I decided to grab etiquettes in my IOD gilded transfers. And again, you've seen me do this where I'm just kind of cutting out that background, those little, pieces of the writing that's there. And I'm just going to start to add those around the box. Again, these are just pieces, so it's not going to be full stuff. I wasn't really careful with the way I added that because I just wanted to look worn off like the inlay looks. So I decided to add a nicer, bigger piece on the other underside of that lid, which I had full coverage with this, and that's okay because it was underneath the lid and that would account for it being protected under there. So I'm gonna add a coat of that Decoupage, Pentart Decoupage and Varnish sealer all over that, making sure that I have really good coverage. I'm gonna do the bottom and the lid. I'm just drying that with my heat gun, and then once that's dry, I'm going to grab my Pentart Fine Line Crackle Medium, and I'm going to apply part 1 first, of course. After I have that applied, I'm going to dry it with my heat gun and then go on to part 2. My advice for this is to use a little bit stiffer brush because I think I've said this before, it is really thick and you need a stiffer brush to be able to move that around. So you could see the crackle there. It came out really pretty, but I felt like I wanted to kind of bring back that, I guess, the vibrance of that paint inlay and everything else. So I just wanted to make sure that I was going to bring everything back. So before I did that, though, I made sure that I did the same thing on that underneath of that lid. And I'm just going to do the same thing and crackle that as well. And you can see here how it's crackled. So now I grab my Folk Art Home Decor wax, and I'm just going to use this and put it all over. I just went straight in with this. I think if I had to do it again, I would probably have watered that down a little bit. This actually, it's very watery, but at the same time, it dries fairly quickly when you're doing this. So I had to go back with a towel and kind of remove some of that. But it really just kind of added to that aged look that I was going for. I'm going to add some feet to this. I grabbed some new little feet off of Amazon, and I'll link these below, and I'm going to add these to the bottom of this box. These are really easy to add. It doesn't take a whole lot. You can pre-drill the holes, but with this, I didn't even have to do that. I just think that this added that little touch that it kind of needed. So I really am happy at the end result of this. I was not happy in the beginning because I wasn't sure if it was gonna kind of end up where I wanted it to. I think by adding the gold transfers on, it kind of filled that space up a little bit and made it look like that design had been worn off. So let me know which project you guys loved. Thanks for watching and spending your time with me. A lot of these are going to be on my website for sale, so go over there and check it out. I've added so much stuff to my website. It's crazy. Thanks again, and I will see you soon.